assist you. Hello? Hello, am I being heard?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so I took 2 years out to go back to the firm where I did my NYC, the firm of New York ICN and Co. And I went there to take 2 years education experience. And I must tell you that experience, that singular experience really assisted me when I came back fully as a lecturer. And one thing that I want you to know as well is that once you identify your path, please pursue it. When I came back to Faculty of Law in 2015 for my PhD, the first person that I met at that time was Professor Iwood Smith, SAN. I'm sure Professor Smith is a household name in Nigerian land law, and he offered to be my supervisor for my PhD. How we sat down and looked at the topic together, and he said, "Oh, Issa, you can pursue this topic." And again, why I started my PhD program, I felt that I needed to also prove a point, and the point was to also be the best in what I know how to do. And at the 2022-23 convocation ceremony at the University of Lagos, I was also opportune to win the best thesis award in PhD. So that again solidified my path in academia. I think I can stop. I can stop for now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Issa. I think, and for every other person who is here, is how you decided to actively fight your fears that any weakness. Like, just imagine someone telling you that, yeah, Tamara, you shouldn't be doing this or that. Then you decided that thing that you said, that they said you not do, that's exactly what you want to start doing. That's very bold, and I think that's really, really very interesting. So we're going to have Osita journey right after the other question. So yes, Osita. Hello, Osita, we can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Hi, guys. So I'm going to answer my question. I'm trying to see if I can turn on my camera. Let's see. Okay. So regarding the question, right, whether I've always known what I wanted to do in my law degree and what may have influenced my final path, I think that my story would strike many people as unfortunate, but sometimes it's good for unfortunate things to happen if you to create positive things at the end of it. So right from when I was much younger, I've always had this very strong inclination for governance, trying to create a more equitable society. And this was because I grew up reading books like Zambia Shall Be Free by Kenneth Kaunda, Things Fall Apart, and other African writers that were writing about oppression from the then British colonial people. So while I was growing up, I was also seeing that oppression had not really changed. What just happened was that we had like a different set of oppressors than before. So that was actually what influenced me to study law. I wanted to make a difference. I saw how people were suffering, how there was so much corruption, billions of naira were being stolen, and so on. The typical reason that many of us would want to study law in the first place, right? But when I was done with my law degree from UNM, I realized that social equality was not really just a function of governance. In fact, that governance played a very limited role in social equality. I realized that it was a function of access to opportunities rather than mostly a function of governance, because government can only do so much. Government can only do so much. So what this then led to was that I started trying to figure out a way to create access to more opportunities for young Africans. So I started a writing and consulting company shortly after my NYSC. It's called Flourish Consult. So we're supporting African youth in Nigeria and different African countries to get access to jobs and internships. So we're helping them to review their CVs, helping them out with mock interviews to prepare for their interviews with the companies they apply to. So we successfully helped over 200 people get jobs between 2019 and 2021. But yeah, so that was what I did, and it eventually evolved into Flourish Opportunities Network with a bigger vision to help youths all over Africa access jobs, internships, scholarships, and we've been doing that one since 2019. We have like a community of undergraduates in like 5 African countries, 30 universities spread across 5 African countries, and they create forums such as this one where people get to share their experience, try to support each other, and then there's also mentorship opportunities from accomplished accomplished alumni of different universities. So that's sort of what I've done, and it's sort of what influenced the way that I'm thinking about law. So this same opportunity access vision influenced my setting up of Blackrest, because while I was a founder building a fintech between 2020 and 2022, I realized that a lot of startups did not really have the kind of legal support that they would need if they were going to build startups that would scale. So we started Blackrest to address that, because a lot of these people don't have access to quality legal services. So it's still the same vision, opportunity access, because that's ultimately what creates social equality at scale. Then this also influenced my creation of the Profitable Lawyer, a coaching and training company supporting lawyers and law firm owners to build a profitable practice. Because the way that our curriculum is structured, I'm sure Dr. Issa probably knows this. Most lawyers will graduate and then they are very good lawyers. They know the laws. They can represent you in court. They can write good agreement. They can write good documentation, but they don't know how to do business. And you cannot scale as a lawyer or a law firm owner if you don't know how to do business. So because my master's is a business degree and I've been doing business since 2018, so I have like more of a business background, even much more than a legal background. So I combined this, and then I started hosting trainings to support lawyers that are just starting out, thinking of creating their own legal portfolio, getting clients, and those that have law firm thinking of how to get more retainer clients. So I started creating a fora for them to learn from me, because I've been doing that since 2021 at Blackrest, and we've had a lot of success, and we've not lost a single retainer. So I realized that there was a lot that I could teach, but it was still influenced by that vision of trying to help more people to access opportunities. So I would say that for me, that's sort of like the reason that I'm doing this, and it's still like a continuing reason, because there's so much social inequality, and the only way we can address that is by taking positive steps every day to help, even if it's just one person, to have more access to opportunities. So the more I can do that, the more I can inspire other people to also do something similar. So that was why when I started speaking to Ikana, I resonated with that vision, because it's in line with what I'm interested in as well. So on the second question, I would say that the most important thing every lawyer should know or should practice fervently, at least within the first 5 to 10 years of practice, is resilience. Resilience. There is nothing in this world that you cannot accomplish if you decide that I'm not going anywhere. There's absolutely nothing. And I say this from experience. I'm not just saying it because it's an interesting thing to say. I applied for scholarships between 2019 and 2022 and had 30 rejections in between before I got the Chevron scholarship. If I had given up in 2020, I would not have gotten the Chevron scholarship. If I had given up in 2021, I would not have gotten the Chevron scholarship. So I'm also saying this as a way of trying to encourage someone out there that thinks that, oh, I'm a bad litigation lawyer or I'm a bad corporate lawyer. You've just not spent enough time. That's all I would say. If you spend 4 to 5 years at it and you actually have the flair for it, you will become a legend in your industry. I promise you. I promise you that. So I would say that choose what you want, not what other people think is good, right? Not because someone says that it's good to do litigation, you now decide to start doing litigation. No, follow your area of interest, right? Your interest might be soliciting, and that's okay. You could be the best at what you're interested in. But once you figure out what you're interested in, then the next thing to do is to practice resilience, to focus on doing it for a long period of time. So thank you. I don't want to waste too much time because I'm sure that we have other questions, but thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Osita. I think what is common among every panelist here is the story of resilience and tenacity because it's very important. And I feel like even if this is the only thing we've gotten to hear, like just their stories, I think it's enough to just create us a spark to always push for the big thing, to always push to the next level and never allow our limitations to bring us down. So we have just about less than 15 minutes after we're done with this session, and we will just be answering the following set of questions like very, very, very quickly so that we can maximize the time that we have. So back to what Hibatu said about specialization. I believe that a lot of law students and even maybe young lawyers are kind of maybe confused about it. At what point in my study of law or in my start of my career should I be thinking of specializing? I know Hibatu said that you should try to explore other areas, do litigation, do this, do that. While that is like very, very true, some other people feel like just know what you want from the get-go and start taking. So if you're in year 3 and you know that it's IP you want to do, start joining IP clubs, start doing IP courses, all of those things. So even for me, like I cannot pick a side right now. And I feel like that is also the same story with every other person on this call, most other people at least. So what exactly do you think? We are free to disagree, even amongst the panelists, but we just want to know like the arguments on both sides. And very quickly, like even if it's just 30 seconds that each person has to speak on this, we really want to hear this. So I think I'll start from Mr. Mohammed Adam. What do you think about the issue of specializing early?
Okay, thank you. I was going to mention something when Dr. Issa was talking. Doctor, I'm privileged to be one of your master's students. I just started my master's program with the University of Lagos, and I look forward to meeting you very soon. I think something about your story is very inspiring, and I really love to meet up to learn from you. So using that to now answer your question, you know, 10 years ago, right? If anyone has told me that I will be doing litigation, I'll tell the person it's a lie. I mean, when I was in the university, one thing I was known for was tutorial. I was a tutor for my classmates, my juniors. In fact, if we have exams in the morning, right, overnight, I'm doing tutorials for people. Like University of Ilorin, Lolo Adam, nothing less, tutorial. So when I was going to leave the school, in fact, law school, the same thing. When I was in law school, tutorials. In fact, shortly after law school, I was an adjunct lecturer in Lagos campus, Nigerian Law School. And, you know, it was just very clear to me that no, it's either lecturing or nothing, right? But then a part of me also wanted to have practice experience. And because of the people that mentored me, right? Because of the people that mentored me, when I was in university, throughout my university days, I did internship. So most of the firms I did internship with were litigation law firms. Most of my mentors are litigation lawyers. I mean, most people that I look up to are litigation lawyers, aside those people in the academics. So for me, what I would say that has defined my own journey is, I think, interest. Trust me. If you want to specialize from the get-go, maybe as an undergraduate, I mean, I won't advise anybody that is, you know, still in school to say this is what I want to specialize in from the university. Please have your, like, do your courses, have your grades really, really, really well. If you are still in the university, Ikana made the first class. I made the first class. Dr. Issa also mentioned that he graduated top of his class. I know many people that are doing well that graduated top of that. So as an undergraduate student, if those are the people we have here, please the most important thing for you at this point in time is graduating well. Trust me, have good results. I don't if you follow my TED talk on Twitter, foundational nuclear lawyer, when I'm talking about academics, it comes with a lot of benefits. Just graduate well first. Then when you now come out of school, out of law school, if you have been able to now define the area of practice, even when you are in law school, it may be a bit difficult for you to pinpoint clearly what you want to do or the area of practice you want to focus on. So what I advise people is to try and be in a firm that they can rotate. I mean, Ikana mentioned earlier that we worked in the same law firm before, the battle, the same thing, and the two of them can confirm to you that in the course of our time together, Busayo is here too, she can confirm, when we were at Olaniwa Ajayi, they were rotating from one department to another. The wisdom behind it is that for young lawyers, the reason why you are rotating from one department to another is for you to have a taste of the practice areas that are available that will help you to now say, this is where I want to be, or this is what I want to do. But the first 1-2 years of your practice, it's always very important to have a fair share of different practice areas that are available within your. In fact, I've done litigation for 8 years now. The MBA says I'm 9 years plus sport. Whatever it is, I've consistently done litigation. Now that I've started my own law firm, right? I started my own law firm last year, and I don't want my law firm to be known as a litigation law firm. In fact, I tell my associates that, see, if you have an area of practice that interests you, please build it. Let's build on it. Because if you look at some of these big law firms, you realize that they are not just known for one thing. They have different practice areas and different professionals in those areas. The reason, it's also good for business that maybe as a law firm owner, you are not just a one direction expert. But one thing I would say that litigation does to you is that it helps you to have knowledge of every aspect of practice. When a battle is in IP, I know how many times you have to discuss dispute resolution relating to IP. I know the times I have to discuss dispute resolution related to oil and gas with people that are in oil and gas. I know the times I have to do dispute resolution with people that are in power and infrastructure when I was in Olaniwa Ajayi. So that positioned me to be ready to, discuss with any professional in any area of law, if it is dispute you want to do. So don't say litigation, because dispute is way more than, it's not just about litigation. There is arbitration, there is mediation, there are different, in fact, that my experience at OA exposed me to other sector-specific dispute resolution mechanism, like construction law. They don't talk about litigation in construction law. They don't, in power infrastructure, these people are not just talking about litigation. They're talking about different. So the point essentially is that if you are a dispute resolution lawyer, you are exposed to, you must know something about every area of law. But if you don't want to stress your brain, to be honest, if you just want to do something that is a microsome of the area of law, I would just advise you pick an area of law and you. In fact, what some lawyers are now doing, let me conclude. What some lawyers are now doing, even those that are dispute resolution, they are not calling themselves bankruptcy resolution. So debt recovery. Anything that has to do with debt recovery, they go to them. So they don't do election petition, they don't do winding up, they don't do all those things. They are only on debt recovery. There are some that are on real estate disputes. Anything that has to do with real estate, that's what they do. So just as one of the panelists mentioned, know what you can do and follow it. Don't say because Mohammed Adam is doing well in dispute resolution, then I will do well. No. Our passions are not the same. So just know what you want to. But if you are an undergraduate, so for now, please, your focus, so that you don't, the advantage of you not focusing on one course above other is that or not choosing an area of specialization now, if you are still an undergraduate, is that so that your over concentration on a particular course does not affect your performance in another course. I mean, Dr. Issa will bear me witness. You realize that some students are doing well in one course and they are not doing well in another course. It's because they don't have a balanced attention. Just have your degree. Do you see that certificate? Have it first. You can always specialize at any point in time, but have passion for whatever you want to do. And of course, you make money. I always tell people, lawyers, if I see a broke lawyer, I will tell that lawyer that you don't know what you're doing. Lawyers are not supposed to be broke. There's no reason for you to be broke as a lawyer. There's no reason. You're not supposed to be poor. You are supposed to be the richest professionals in this country, even without going to court. See, in my house today, I've made like 400,000 naira today just by sitting in my house. If you want to talk to me as a lawyer, you want to consult with me, you will pay me. Even though the organizers of this event didn't talk about that with me. But me, at any time I want to talk to people because I know the importance of the knowledge I have acquired over a period of time. So you should learn that too. Even as a law student, you see that some of your friends are asking you questions. The law, what's this? Charge them, even if it's 1,000 naira airtime, even if it's data, it means something. So let me yield the mic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed. Osita, we are going to ask you that question. And what do you think about specializing early? We have very, very little time. We can just really summarize us. That please.
So what do I think about what? Sorry.
Early, what do you think law students should know when it comes to specializing early? Do you think that they should start out with what they think they are going to do right away and not have any other kind of experience or not?
Oh no, I to be fair, I actually think that it makes sense that they should have like different types of experience. I think it makes sense that they do, mostly because there was something that Vusi Tembekwa, a very popular businessman, was saying. He said that you can't supervise someone if you don't know how to do the job. Like you can't supervise what you don't know. So that means that someone like Tim Cook, even if he's not a software developer, he understands software frameworks because he cannot be able to supervise the people that are reporting to him about how they are working on their technology. So he has to know a lot about it in order to be able to supervise at that level. So I would say that if you're a young lawyer just starting out, do litigation, do different things, even if it is a marriage petition, whichever one it is that your hands can find, do it, right? You will have your interest that you're focusing on, but don't shy away from doing other things. The reason is because even if you've built a niche law firm that focuses on doing just one thing, like us at Black Race, we focus on startups, technology companies and things of that nature, right? But it doesn't mean that if someone comes up with a real estate transaction that we're not going to do it, or that we're not going to be able to help out the person, right? So what that means is that if all I knew was just how to support startups, other opportunities that come up that could also be something that could bring you revenue for the firm will be missed out on completely. And assuming we were to just have associates that we are say, okay, go handle this, and we don't know how to do it, we're not going to be able to supervise the associates on what they're trying to do. So that's just what I would say. Yes, have a niche, focus, know what you're interested in and work on that. But at the same time, be open to having different types of experience because you never know when something comes up. Like it's even possible that something that is not even your core area could contribute to like more than half of your revenue in a quarter, simply because you knew how to do it at the time that you learned it. So that's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sita. What do you think about it? Just in 1 minute, because we have like 2 minutes to be done with this session. Just in 1 minute, what do you think about this issue on ground? Hello, hear you.
Is it me or Ibatu?
No, Dr. Issa, yes, you.
Okay. Well, honestly, Adams and Osita have said it all, and I don't want to be repeating all they've said. But just to mention that it's very important for young lawyers to de-emphasize specialization at the early beginning. At least, let's say, moderate of threshold of 3 years. Okay, after 3 years, then you can now settle for what you want. And on that note, I always say that after 3 years, try and find your niche. What that simply means is that because legal field is vast, encompassing various areas of law, just like I've said earlier, property law, corporate law, criminal law. The fact that I am now an expert in property law does not mean that I don't do other things. So, but when you're able to identify your passion and strength early on, it will also assist you to climb the organic ground. And why am I saying this? For those that want to come to academia, they need to start early, because if you leave it late, your juniors who started early may likely be your seniors when you come back, and that's also affecting me now. When I left academy for like 3 years, when I came back, my juniors who were always looking up to me are not my senior. So what I'm saying this is that within 3 years, you can try and then catch up with all the areas of law. Then after 3 years, settle down and pursue your academic career. And what you just need to do is to get your advanced degrees, like master's, PhD. Then you start climbing. Then that doesn't mean that you can also not practice law by way of an advocate and also an academic. I think on that basis, I'll pause for now.
Very much, sir. Thank you. So Hibatu, now jab at this panel because we have up in a few seconds. So if you can just tell us in summary what you think law students should know now.
Please, you can please, can I say this? Please, it's very important. For those that are interested in academia, please ensure that you start publishing on your own. Invest in journals, in publication of articles, just publishing, because academia is publish or you perish. So start publishing now, whether you are in or not. You need to start publishing. By the time you are coming with volume of articles, you'll be well graded and rated.
Okay.
Of the peers. Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. So, Ms. Hibatu, about skills that are necessary for the law practice, what do you think generally when it comes to law practice? What are the things you think law students should know and develop now, just soft have now as law students and as or whatever? Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ikana. So very quickly, I would say soft skills cannot be overemphasized. I'll say that learning soft skills or acquiring soft skills cannot be overemphasized. It really sets you apart, right? And that soft skills could mean communication skills, presentation skills, and the likes, and just even mannerisms. I feel like sometimes our African Nigerian mannerisms can be very crass. So when we get to international settings, boardroom settings, there's some mannerisms that we might display that might come off, rude or offended to some class of people, and I expect that we would, by grace of God, we'll all be international lawyers and things like that. I'll say that in my first year of university, I was very privileged to have take a course on communication skills, and I feel like generally that's really lacking across a lot of Nigerian law school students. But I also say that in the age of technology, social media is very important. Social media skills, branding skills, and I'm trying to go away from the general legal skills that, of course, that you require, but soft skills very important. Social media skills are very important. I know that for a fact that most of the panelists that are here, they put themselves out there. They post social media content, and that's what really they might not. I mean, of course, they are one of the best, but what really, and there's so many. The market might be quite saturated, really, or quote unquote saturated. Some people might differ, but the point is that putting yourself out there through social media marketing, branding, personal branding skills cannot be overemphasized. Marketing skills are really, really important, because I feel like those core skills, soft skills, technology, social media skills, personal branding will really set you apart for being like a 21st century lawyer. Quickly, that would be my summarization. Thank you
very much. It was a very impactful session. I really wish that we had more time. We want to have panel, but thank you so much, Dr. Issa, Ms. Hibatu, Adam, Mr. Usa. Thank you very much for this, very value-packed. I really.
Hi, Dekana.
Every other person. Okay. Okay, you were saying okay. Yes, thank you. So
thank you for inviting us. Thank you. I'm a guest.
Thank you very much.
Guest on the platform. My guest will.
And I wanted to say, Professor Adedoko, thank you so much for not murdering my name. You got it. It was quite surprising that you got it in the first conversation. Most people butcher it. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure meeting you. And yourself, Osita.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're moving to the session now. Miss Ife as the moderator. So I'll be using the first one now. Thank you, everyone. Next panel, so please stay on.
All right, thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you so much for that amazing panel session, Ikana. And thank you so much, our panelists, Dr. Isa, Ibatun, Osita. Thank you very much. And Mohammed, we really appreciate everything you've done, knowledge you've dished out. So if you have any questions, please drop it in the comment section. And if you also have testimonials from yesterday's session, also drop it as well. So we'll be having our next panel session. And this one is not like the other session, in quotes. Here we'll also be having people doing other aspects of law as well. Lawyers that are doing other things aside from law. And then you can hear their story of how they navigated their path and how they got to where they are at this point. Our moderator for this session was none other than Ife Oluwa, and she's going to be talking to us and having this panel session. Now, shortly, Ife Oluwa is a digital marketing analyst at Olaniwu Ajayi, and she's also a lawyer. So please let's give it up for Ife Oluwa as she comes in and takes over the next panel session. React so she can just sing and join all of us. Thank you.
Pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to this. Please react and let us know if this fest is everything that you hoped it will be. Let me see your reaction. Okay, so this is any career fest for law students, and this is because we know that law students and lawyers now are branching out into the 21st century, and they are doing other things aside from the practice of law. And I'm sure that on this call, you have friends, you have colleagues who as law students are doing different things as well. And that is why we have put together this panel to let us know from lawyers who have explored other fields, have out what exactly it is, the steps they took to get them to where they are today. Without wasting any much time, I'll be inviting our first panelist to this talk, an Honorable Luke Onofik, and he is a former honorable member representing a constituency in Obiom Federal Constituency in the Nigerian House of Representatives from 2019 to 2023. And before he joined, he was a lawmaker in... Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much. So he was a lawmaker in Akwa Ibom State, and he's had a very impressive career run in the Nigerian politics. And usually when you speak to law students, they are always like, oh, I don't know how to, navigate this field. And that is why we have this impressive personality here with us. And aside him, we also have Mina Obenten. And Mina is a tech lawyer, a PR professional, and founder of the popular eLawyer Nigeria, a platform that will be familiar to law students on this call. And Mina is doing impressively well in her chosen career field. And recently, she even launched a consulting outfit in addition to the numerous things that she's doing already. We also have Dolapo Omotosho. Dolapo is a lawyer as well. Everybody on this panel is a lawyer. So Dolapo is a lawyer as well, and she's currently the revenue growth manager for TransferGo. Dolakmo was also previously the country manager at Lemonade Finance, now Lemfi. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the tech platform Lemfi. And we also have Samuel Olaleko Ajayi. Samuel was a Diana Award winner in 2023, and he recently launched his own media outfit called Afridia. And Samuel is doing amazingly well in the social impact sector. So if our panelists are here, I would be happy to welcome you to this call right now. Thank you so much for choosing to do this with us. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your Sunday evening impacting law students and lawyers as well. If you are clapping, please react. Let me see your favorite emoji, because this session is about to be amazing. It's about to be amazing. Let me see your favorite emoji. Please, our panelists, if you're on the call, you can please unmute your mic and we'll just get straight to the session for today.
Hello? 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 Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you, sir. Welcome to the TLSQ Career Fair, to the TLSQ Career Fair. Thank you so much for choosing to do this with us. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you for the way. It's a privilege to have to be invited to be here.
Yes, sir. So we're just getting straight to it, and I'll be asking the first question for this particular panel session. And we just want to know, so for law students who are unsure of specializing in law or exploring other fields, how can they identify the best fit for their skills and interests while still in the university right now? So they know that, okay, I'm not going to practice, I'm interested in pursuing, a career in public service. How can they start? What would you advise them from now?
Thank you, Ifolua. I would want to adopt the position, I think, by Dr. Issa. I was in the last session and I listened attentively. The very first thing you need before you venture out is the best of education. Before you think of that specialization, you have to equip yourself in such a way that when you step out there, you are not found wanting in any area you've decided to choose to pursue. And so the very first thing I would advise or I would share, my knowledge is you make the best grades, you take your education as important, and most importantly, not just to study to pass exams, but to study to digest, have a grasp of what you have studied, because what I have come to see in life is that the things I learned while I was in year one in law in 1998 has come to become very valuable for me in my pursuit in life, even presently. So the very first advice is for them to pursue their education tenaciously. Then in choosing a career, I found myself in public service since I finished my university. Not that that was what I chose, but circumstances. But looking through my days in the university, I found out that my path had been the path of leadership. I got admitted, and I was not comfortable with a few things that were happening in school, and I needed to be a voice for the students. And so I started joining what we call the University Student Rights Organization. And from there, I decided, my passion, my desire, my pursuit to be involved in student politics. And then I later emerged as the student union government president of my university. And so that began my leadership trajectory, which led me into public service. After my stay in the university, I was invited by the governor of the state, that is the present Senate president, to serve him as SA protocol matters. And then somewhere along the line, he told me something someday. He said, if you continue to become a PA, the world will not know what you carry.
you carry something that the world needs. So I need you to go and contest for the position of the member of the House of Assembly, where you can voice out the things that you think that you can help in making the society a better place. That's how I bought the form, contested election, won, first term, second term. And it was not an easy thing, but in my first term, I was able to make the impact I could make in the House of Assembly because of my studies, my years in the university. For instance, the few legislations I sponsored as a private member bill were out of the things I noticed in my about 3-4 months in practice. Immediately I was called to bar because I went to practice in the chambers that I did my chambers attachment. And so one of them was that I found out that the threshold for magistracy in dealing with issues in the state was quite very low. It was not in line with the current reality as compared to what we had in Lagos State, where a magistrate could sit on a case with a value of over 5 million and above. And these were the things I saw in the course of my little years in practice. Little months in practice. So I came back, sponsored a bill to make for the amendment of the magistrate court law of Akwa Ibom State to increase that threshold. And then it became a major legislation. And then some other legislations too. I could come in and advocate for the betterment of for the working conditions and the living conditions of judicial officers. I'm saying all this to say that I did not prepare myself, not that I said I was going to come into public service, but things happened. And from there, became the Speaker of the House of Assembly in 2015 to 2019. 2019, I said, oh, since I found myself here, and it's giving me joy because I love advocacy, I love being the voice for the voiceless. And meanwhile, in the university, I wanted to pursue human rights. I wanted to be a human rights lawyer because I so much adored Gani Fawehinmi, Femi Falana, G.T. Ogunleye, those who were out there fighting the cause of others. But I found out that in the public service, I am doing that, but on the part of advocacy, speaking for those who don't have voices, speaking for my constituency. And so I would say that for those who have this leadership calling within the university environment, or whether in law school, whether as members of SRC, you need to begin to prepare to acquire skills that will lead you to where you are going, just like the last but one speaker said in the last panel. One, what has helped me in my public service is advocacy, public speaking skills, communication. And so you need to begin to see whether those are the skills you have acquired for yourself. If not, it's basic for lawyers, whether you want to be in public service, or whether you want to practice, you need communication skills, you need advocacy. And so that's very important because the very first impression matters. You are going to be engaged by your client by the way you come off to your client by the very first impression. Do you have a good command of English? Can you communicate appropriately? Can you situate the things that they have put before you to begin to communicate back to them in a way that they have confidence that you can do the work which they want to entrust into your care? So generally, they might not be able to, but if you have a leadership calling amongst all of us that are here, you have a leadership calling, then you know that you are probably on your way to public service, and that even in your private engagement, as in private practice, some are going to be managing partners, and you need leadership skills along the line. So I will yield the floor to other of my panelists here till I have to come your way once again.
Thank you very much, sir, for that insightful answer. And I really love that you've given context into the fact that your education matters no matter what it is. And because you were diligent in your studies as a law student, you were able to identify gaps in public service when you were in the position, to profess solutions and to change the status quo by sponsoring the majority of the bills that you mentioned. Thank you so much, sir, again. So I'll now go on to ask Mina the same question. Mina, are you on the call, please? Okay, I would ask Dolapo now. Dolapo,
Hi, I am here.
hi, Dolapo.
Hello.
Welcome for joining us. So I would ask you now, you've built an impressive career in fintech and marketing. So how did you identify and capitalize on opportunities such as internships and volunteering that align with your passion and skills before you settled for marketing as your career of choice? So even as a
Okay.
law student, how did you identify these opportunities? How did you plug yourself onto them?
Okay. So I think I had my first ever internship experience in my 200 level, and it was at a law firm. And up until that point, it was law for me. So it wasn't me going for an internship and thinking outside law. So law was what was on my mind as at that point. And I had my first internship at a law firm, and I subsequently had like about 4 other internships. So every holiday break, I would intern at a law firm. I did first semester internship, second semester internship, and then up until my final year, I also interned in my final year, but it wasn't at a law firm. It was my first non-law related internship. It was at Amnesty International, and I was working on research and writing, and it was a very different experience from like the law firm experience. It it basically showed that what I had done in law firm was research, but also build skills such as, okay, I'm able to research cases for lawyers. I'm able to draw up a list of what I find is important or important to what they need to identify. And then I'm able to type up a report. That is a marketable skill on its own. It's the kind of skill you pick up when you expose yourself to law firms that willingly have structures for intern. And I want to emphasize on willingly having structures for you and ensuring that you pick up necessary skills. So all the internships I did exposed me to project management skills, exposed me to managing stakeholders up to some level, exposed me to also building some key foundational skills like showing up on time, communicating properly when there is a delay, asking questions, because there are a lot of things when you intern as a student, you don't necessarily understand why they are that way. So being able to ask questions, being able to basically look out for the best interest of whosoever you're working with as an intern. And I then went off to law school. And interestingly, I went off to law school when the pandemic happened. And during the pandemic, there was a major shift for me because at that point, I'd gone into lockdown with everybody, and I'd realized that I didn't want to practice law. I had gone into law school with the mindset of becoming a judge, and it was during the pandemic I figured out that, okay, this isn't for me. I don't think this is where I should be going. And I then asked myself, okay, what do you want to do? And honestly, my head just said, oh, business management or business development was the way. And when the lockdown ended and we went back to law school to write our exams, people were applying to law firms or trying to get ready to start preparing their applications for law firms. And then I wasn't. It was a very scary process, but I knew that I didn't want to work at a law firm. I knew I didn't want to practice law already at that point, but I necessarily didn't know what I wanted to do. So I then saw a tweet that said internships are the way to start. And it's very tricky now because when you're a law student, your mind exposes you to the fact that internship should be something you do as an undergrad or maybe shortly after law school, but not as somebody that will soon get her certificates, her call to bar certificate and become a lawyer. But I staked my bet on it and I applied for an internship, a social media customer support internship. And that's where I started off. And those skills that I was able to build during like my time in law firms, I basically transferred that into like the internship experience I had at my first fintech job, which was being a customer support agent at PiggyVest. So I transferred that into like my experience at PiggyVest, and then that translated to being employable to an extent. And those are things that people that manage people or people that are stakeholders in the company look out for. Are you employable? Do you have skills? What makes you stand out among like your peers? It's the soft skills you pick along the way. It's the hard skills you also pick because of your law degree. You're taught to write better. You're taught to focus on principles and thoughts. And that's how you like sort of analyze very complex problems. So that's like my take on internship. I hope I gave good answers, to be fair.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much, Dolapo. I think I faced a similar experience in 2020 as well. What was 2020 the turning point when I decided, no, I'm not going to go into this. I wanted to be a judge as well for a while before I now settled in marketing. So I would ask Honorable the next question now. So, sir, many young people face skepticism when embarking on their journey in leadership and public service. And I just want to ask, what steps did you take early on in your career to build trust and credibility? And how can aspiring leaders distinguish themselves and make meaningful contributions? Because the common narrative in Nigeria is that you need a political godfather or sponsor before you can, make it in politics. So, what is your take for law students who genuinely want to make a change in our country and want to pursue a career in public service?
Okay, I'll put a caveat here, kind of, that in my communication I try to tell people the 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 reality and the idea and the reality. Now, using my journey, first I would say that you need a mentor. I don't like the word godfather because for me I distinguish both in the sense that the mentor allows you to have a mind of your own, to be able to contribute to a conversation to make the place where you all occupy a better place. But the Godfather believes that you don't have a mind of your own. In quote, you should be a zombie. And where you have a mind of your own, you are seen to be too independent-minded, and it becomes a threat in the Nigerian political system. And so you need a shoulder to climb on. You need a leverage. And for you to have that leverage, the very first thing is for them to see your capacity. In an ideal situation, they ought to see how intelligent you are, and then how capable you are, and how competent you are before you are being entrusted with a position of responsibility. Yes, within the Nigerian context, we still have such places. For myself, I would use myself as an instance. I was not from the same local government with Distinguished Senator Godswill Babio in 2007 when he appointed me his SA on protocol matters. I was not from his same place. I was not from his own ethnic group. But we just had a rally one day, and I spoke in that rally. And then he said, "Young man, you are the future of this state. I need to support you. You need to work closely with me for me to help you realize that future." And that is the beginning of my journey. And that was the beginning of my journey. And he became a mentor. But somewhere along the line, I must say this, we fell out because of my views on issues. And at that point in time, having been supported to become PA, having been supported, mentored by him to go to the House of Assembly, to return to the House of Assembly for a second term became a problem because I was at loggerhead with the government which he was the head because of my principal stance on issues as the chairman, House of Assembly Committee on Appropriation and Finance. And so there were questions I asked about the budget, which the government felt I shouldn't ask. And then I was seen to have committed sacrilege. But that was how the weight and the hammer of the state came against me not to return. But because I had represented the people well, I had brought issues that concerns them to the front burner. I have gone back to relate with the people because of the lessons I learned as a student leader, the lessons I learned as I forgot to mention this, I was the pioneer speaker of Nigerian Youth Parliament under President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua and later Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And so the lessons I learned presiding over 109 of us from the entire country, which we normally sat in the House of Representatives of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, one of the committee rooms from 2008 to 2010, were the lessons I took back home and I related with the people. So when the government said I could not return, the people I stood for, the youth, the women said, he has represented us well. He needs to return to the House of Assembly. So I returned to the House of Assembly for a second term, not on the platform, on the shoulder of my mentor any longer, because we are fallen apart, but on the strength, by the grace of God, I say this, on the strength that God has given to me and on the support of the people who gave me their mandate, the youth, the women, the less privileged, the people that we might consider as the dregs and the rustics of the society. Again came the time that I needed to, I aspired to become the Speaker of the House of Assembly. There were challenges. The powers that be said, no, he's too independent-minded. We will not be able to control him. I'm giving this example for the younger generation to know that the path to political office in Nigeria, based on my own experiences, are full with thorns. And politically, I have had scars on my back. I mean, I have had wounds on my feet in trying to rise through that ladder, because not without being immodest, I tried to make the place I have occupied to be better than how I left it. I see politics as an opportunity to be able to cater for the welfare and well-being of the people. I have my records to the glory of God Almighty in the state to speak for me. And then I got to the House of Representatives, first time in the House of Representatives, by the grace of God, and then the support of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. I became the chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Judiciary, where I had to supervise the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, Federal High Court, National Industrial Court of Nigeria, National Judicial Council, National Judicial Institute, Body of Benchers, and the Federal Judicial Service Commission. And so within that, there were things I saw too within the judiciary. For instance, in 2020, the budget of the judiciary was 90 billion. And the judges were still complaining of their living standard and their welfare and poor pay. By the grace of God, with myself and the Senate counterpart, Senator Kweyemi, now the Senate leader, we met with the president, we met with the budget office, and we're able to increase the budget of the judiciary from 90 billion to about 110 billion. But still, that did not reflect in the pay of the judges and the justices of our court. And so we will ask a question. How come that we've had an increase in the budget, but we've not had a commensurate increase in the allowances and emolument and entitlement of judicial officers? And the question was that, oh, that can only happen if we have an amendment to the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act, which caters for the salaries and emolument of judicial officers. We now came back to the NJC and the budget office to say, while we are working on that amendment to bifurcate the law to deal with salaries of political office holders and salaries of judicial officers, can we have an increase in the allowances? That brought a problem or a little bit of a conflict between us and some setup within the judiciary. But I stamped my feet and I said that this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sign up on the next budget if we don't have a better living conditions, if we don't have judges' quarters constructed for them to live in. And thank God, to the glory of God Almighty, were able to get what we call yellow house, about 6 or 7 more houses to be built for justices of the Supreme Court opposite the Federal High Court in Abuja, just beside the National Assembly. We're able to get the contractor to complete the Federal High Court in Lagos. And then we're able to create funds for the completion of the headquarters of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria. And with that, though it brought a conflict with certain courts, because we can't have a court have a project of over 10 years and they've not exited that project. And then we said, we cannot give you money any longer if you don't exist. I mean, if you don't exit those projects. At the end of it all, I could stand my feet, and I'm happy today that when the president came in, they saw the need to increase the budget of judiciary to 345 billion, and then now making for better welfare, increased pay for judges, increased pay for judicial officers. So while you are eyeing the public service, it is not a bed of roses when you determine to hold your head high and to have a good record and to live where you have been assigned with reputation. By the grace of God, nobody is perfect, but to the glory of God Almighty, I think the places I have had to serve, I've been able to create and then leave impact and represent the legal profession, represent my family, represent my faith, and represent my father's house, because that matters a lot. Legacy matters. What will you be remembered for? And so let me pause here for now and yield the floor to other of my colleagues on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for that advice. I love how you emphasize the fact that what you are doing currently as a student can give you the visibility, for people that you want to mentor you to see you. But at the end of the day, it is the quality and the value that you bring to the table that matters, and even not forgetting yourself and striving regardless of how difficult it has been. Thank you so much. I'm sure that our students are enjoying this panel. Everybody on this call is you are writing down notes. If I were you, I'm going to be jotting, even though I'm here now, like I'm still penning down my notes. And you should not forget, because this is such a wonderful session. So my next question will go to Mina. Mina, I just want to ask you, you've successfully managed to be a PR professional, a tech lawyer, a consultant, and a founder. How did you identify, career-defining opportunities for you at different times? So how did you know, okay, now I'm going to build on my expertise as a PR professional. This is the time to start my consulting firm. This is the time to go into tech law. How have you been able to successfully manage all your different personalities and, aspects of your career and merge it into one and be successful at it? For law students who are like multi-potentialites, I want you to please advise them.
Hi, Ife. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I must take this time to give a shout out and say hello to one of my big mentors, Honorable Onofio Luke. Thank you very much, sir. I listened in on some of the things you said. And our other distinguished panelists who spoke before me. So I think that's a very interesting question. And how I like to answer this is, a lot of times we want to figure things out, we want to be all perfect before we start things. So I want to take you through my journey a bit, right? And I want to sort of tell our young graduates or undergraduates who are listening that it's okay to not have it figured out, right? Most of the things that I do, right, it just started as a joke. And I'm being very honest with you, right? As much as I have built skills over time, I've acquired skills, built a pedigree to an extent, many times I just want to test the waters and step out of my comfort zone and just do something I know that I am passionate about. And again, for me, it's about trying to solve problems, right? for every time I'm alone with my thoughts, I'm thinking of how can we do things differently? How can we change the narrative in the legal sector? I'm a lawyer. How can we change the narrative in the comms space? I'm passionate about comms. What can we do differently, right? So everybody, every other time, people are replicating the same thing over and over again. And many times, we're not getting the results that we want, right? And we are change makers. We are the future leaders. We are the future of tomorrow. And as the future of tomorrow, I always say it is important that we think ahead. So for me, it's always thinking ahead. It's always trying to sort of identify problem, solve a problem within different sectors. So it's just me trying my hands, trying to see what I can do differently, trying to see how we can change the world, trying to see how we can solve problems. And I am not saying, right, because when I say this, some people would say, okay, if I do a lot of things at the same time, wouldn't it seem like I'm confused about what I want to do? But my advice is, before you find your path, before you discover that path. So life is a journey of discovery. You are discovering yourself. You have not gotten to that point where you know that this is who I am. I'm being very honest with you. So for every day you live, there's a new side of you that you're discovering. And if you don't step out, you would not discover that side of you that is to be discovered, right? So I tell people, the university, or I would say undergraduate days, because I believe I'm speaking to undergraduate, majorly undergraduate, right? Is the time, is the season where you are to try everything you need to try, right? I have done over 10 businesses, 10, 11 businesses. And guess what? Out of all of those businesses, I wouldn't call e-lawyer a business. E-lawyer is like a purpose for me. But e-lawyer is the most successful of all of the 10 I have done, right? And I say that if I did not do the 10 things that I did, I wouldn't have the experience. I wouldn't have most of the skills that I have. I wouldn't have that right standing to have this conversation with you. So I tried my hands on different things. And at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is where you're supposed to be, right? You're supposed to be solving problems for people. You're supposed to be, offering services, value-added services, right? This is where you're supposed to be. This is your part. And that was how I settled with eLawyer, and we've been around for over 5 or 6 years now, right? How I started my comms consulting as well was almost the same thing. I have a knack for communications. I have a knack for public relations, right? And so I thought to myself, okay, if I consult for people and, make sort of drive change within organizations, help organizations put together their PR structure and comm structure, is going to go a long way to solve a lot of communications problem and PR problems we have with certain organizations. And so that was how I delved into PR. And I did not just delve into PR, I niched down to lawyers and law firms and thought of, okay, the RPC says lawyers are not supposed to advertise, lawyers are not supposed to put out what they do. So how do we put out content? How do we put out lawyers? How do we make your brand visible in such a way that you are not contravening the provision of the RPC? And so the idea came up rather. I thought of, let's start something around PR in law. And that was how PR came into eLawyer Nigeria. eLawyer started as a blog. So the PR and comms part came later on when I thought of how best to interpret the RPC in a way that, or help businesses, help corporate organizations, help law firms gain visibility without necessarily infringing on any provision of the RPC. So that was how the PR part came. And from my story, you would notice that it's been series of self-discovery and discovering how to do things differently. And I tell people, don't just do what's exciting in the moment. Don't just do what you're passionate about, because I have 10 million things. For us multi-potentialites, for people like me who are passionate about many things, it's easy for you to get distracted. It's easy for you to lose focus on your journey because there's nothing you're working towards. There's no particular goal you're working towards. You know, there's just a lot of passion areas and you don't know how to bring that together. So what I usually advise is, instead of only thinking about passion, right? Do what is impactful, do what is relevant, do what meets the needs of people, and while at it, develop yourself. So, you know, it's funny. I say this when I'm talking to people, right? My mentees, most especially. And I ask them, Dangote is not passionate about sugar. And I tell them this, Dangote is not passionate about cement. Dangote is passionate about meeting the needs of the construction industry, meeting consumers' need in terms of providing services that can, you know, sort of meet their needs to a certain standard or a certain level. And there are many people as well. Otedola is probably not passionate about oil, but he's doing what he's doing because he believes it is meeting the need of a particular class or a particular group of people, or he's solving a problem in Nigeria. For every successful entrepreneur who has made it through, or every successful business person, or any successful lawyer who has made it, right? One thing is a constant: they are adding value, they're making impact in some way. And I know that I've listened to some of the speakers, and I know that many of them made mention of adding value and making impact. So I think for me, that is primary. And again, I don't have it figured out. You know, it's life is a journey of discovery, right? So I'm still discovering other side of me, but while at it, I am developing the sides that, you know, I am already in. I'm developing the sites that I'm already thriving in, right? So please, again, to just cap this up, right? Passion is not enough for those of us who have different passion areas. You need to do something that is impactful and make you know, make a difference in some way in whatever industry, whatever area, you know, you decide to specialize in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mina, for that succinct answer. Would move on and take Samuel Ajayi. Samuel, thank you so much for being on this call. But while Samuel is about to answer his own question, Honorable
I think Ifeoluwa has internet issues.
you can go ahead, sir.
Okay, myself.
Oh, sir. Oh, I'm so sorry. I had issues with my internet. So we were about to call on Samuel Ajayi, but we'd just like you to give, you know, final remarks to our students and professionals.
Thank you very much, Ifeoluwa and other panelists. Like I take an excuse, I thought this panel was slated for 4 to 5. So I had another speaking engagement slated from 5, and I'm already late for it. And so, but I had to stay on. So my closing remarks would be these. One, let me thank other panelists for affording me this opportunity. And then Mina, I see you there. It's a pleasure. They did not invited me to your sessions of late to come and learn from you just like I do. So one, self-development is quite very important. There is a saying that we have that you cannot pour from an empty vessel. You cannot give what you don't have. And so you have to build yourself by attending workshops and seminars, build yourself by reading. There's a whole lot of knowledge there to discover. And for me, it's important. The moment I came across this quote by Peter Drucker, management guru. He says success in the knowledge economy depends on how we know ourselves, our value, our values, our strength, and how we best perform. I think I paraphrased it. And so you cannot give back to society, because all what we are saying here is how can we better give back to the society to leave a legacy behind. So self-development, read, take courses. The other one is the place of mentor. You don't need to be mentored by an older person. I have a mentor. I didn't understand what it means to set goals, not until about 2 years ago. But somebody, a lawyer too, I think I would mention her name, who is about 2 or 3 years my junior in call, Patience Olusoye Esquire, taught me goal setting. And she's my mentor. She's my mentor in time management. She's my mentor in organization. And so, but I am older than her in age, and I'm older than her in call. When you see somebody have something to offer, go and learn. The other one is the place of versatility. Yeah, my pastor, because I have come thus far, I must say it emphatically. Faith and spirituality has played a prominent role in where I have come from. A son of a widow who lost the father, a lawyer at a very tender age. It's only God that can brought me thus far. And so the place of spirituality, God, the place of God in whatsoever we do. And then mentality, which is the education we are talking about. I could not have boasted of becoming who I have become today if but not for God, I wouldn't be here. So a few books I would recommend for you to read that would help you, because you need to become a better you to create a better society. Number one book that has helped me greatly in life is one book by Coach Mike Bayer, Be You and Be Better, by Coach Mike Bayer. Then Become a Better You by Pastor Joel Austin. It's a great book that would make you a better you. And so finally, read biographies and autobiographies of great men. What really reinforced my commitment to public service was a book autobiography of former President Bill Clinton, titled My Life. It taught me how to go on with public service. He taught me how to, one of the things I've learned, people said, oh, you are a person's person. I learned from Bill Clinton that he knew the names of almost all the staffers of White House when he was the president. Same with the staffers of Arkansas when he was the governor. And today, one book that has influenced my next stage in politics is The Promised Land by President Barack Obama. Yes, we might not agree with some of the lessons, but they are great lessons that it has taught us. And for those of you that wants to have the power of conviction and courage, read the book by Samantha Power. Samantha Power is a former permanent United States ambassador to United Nations. The Miseducation of an Idealist. And then finally, a book by Francisca Gina, Rebel Talent. How to be you when everybody says you shouldn't be you. And so with that, I leave you with the little that I've had to share with us this evening. And thank you for the opportunity that you've given to me. I consider this a great privilege. And thanks, Ikana, who is a first-class alumni from my own university, which we are going to honor on the 10th as one of the best brains and ambassadors of our great university. Ikana, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time on this panel. We really appreciate your contributions, and we are very sure that our community, will greatly benefit from the books you recommended, as well as your wealth of knowledge navigating the public service in Nigeria. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. I'll be moving on quickly to Samuel Ajayi. Samuel, you are a award-winning social impact founder. You're also recently, and congratulations also on recently founding your media platform at Freedia. I've been following your journey, and I can say that it is really, really impactful, starting at a very young age and even till now. So I want you to tell us, how did you venture into social impact at a very young age? Usually, you won't find 9-year-olds or 10-year-olds deciding that they want to, become people who would like help their community at that age. So, how did you venture into social impact at a very young age? And what was the contributions that made you, eligible for a Diana Award win? And how can law students who want to, pursue the social impact path, how can they start leveraging their early community now? Because usually we are under the illusion that we only start when we have the big platform. So right now in their universities, how can they become how can they become aware of social impact, and start making a significant contribution to their community? Samuel, you have the floor.
Oh, oh, thank you. Thanks for your question and thanks for your time, everyone. Apologies, I can't have my video turned on, and I feel privileged to be here with you, and I acknowledge all panel members and you guys for wanting to do something special by being here today. So good evening and thank you. I'll be brief and thanks for your question once again. I think my journey is um more of a personal discovery, and basically that's what I'm just going to surround my contribution here today around. I know you've had a lot of stuff, I know you've been poured into and whatnot, but I don't think I'm speaking to the normal conventional law students um I say these places in the true essence of the word as yeah, it's fine, go to school, get certificates, go out, look for your 9 to 5, going out, so start a lot of years later and what's not and continue and what, because that's not my reality, and that's why I say I'm not speaking to those kind of conventional students. I'm speaking to those people who sometimes question themselves, those people who sometimes question what they bring to the table. You're in the university right now, and everything that's matters, so to say, are your grades. And sometimes no measuring value measurements or whatnot, you tend to question yourself. You tend to, belittle yourself or question if you are on the right track and whatnot. And I'd say that you are sincerely. Um, I was in school. I didn't go on bad grades anyways, and at the same time, I didn't get the best of grades. As a matter of fact, classmate of mine is here. Her name is Zone Shodola. She can witness many of the things I'm saying right now. But along the line, life happens. Many stuff happens. Um, from I was in the University of Lagos, a public or federal university in Nigeria, a result issue or whatnot. We finished in 2019, but I didn't go to the Nigerian Law School until last year, and I didn't get my certificate out of the University of Lagos until I think end of 2022, despite having not having a carryover or having an extra time in the university and whatnot. But it's Nigeria, so imagine I subjected all my life, my hopes, my ambitions, my vision to that kind of reality, then I'm messed up for life, so to say. You understand? It's sad that we're in such a climate like this. This is the world's, we constitute the world's largest young population from this part of the world. And sadly, our government does not identify or hasn't woken up to the fact yet. Or maybe they know, but they are playing super deaf to the fact that we young people have their power. And it's all about self-discovery now. And like I said earlier, self-discovery is what matters the most. You get me? My very good friend, who I believe is one of your ESCOs or founding team members, Temi Lola Adetono. Temi was a friend. I don't know. You can call himself my mentee or what's not, but Temi was stellar. Temi was super good, grades and what's not and all, and killing it. And I encourage and salute him for that. But sincerely, that wasn't my path, and it was easy for me to discover this earlier on because of what I said earlier on, self-discovery. Your journey is your journey. You know yourself best. You know where you're coming from. And one thing I'm gonna encourage you guys to key into is your personal story. So my personal story surrounds, the normal grass to grace story, losing my father at the age of 9, which was in 2006. And, from there on, at the age of 10, I just saw myself making and selling handmade notes to kids in my neighborhoods and whatnot and stuff. And I did this a long time ago, but I didn't realize until 2021 I was at a training in the United States, and we had a personal story session. And we're just told to cast our minds back to things that happened earlier on in our lives, because some of these things have shaped our realities. I have friends who are pursuing things in the impact space, you know women advocacy, women rights, human rights, and it's all because maybe someone they knew or they themselves at some point in the other had maybe experienced some of these, ills. Yeah, maybe some of them experience some of these traumas that they are trying to correct or be part of, solution contributors and whatnot. So you have a personal story. Your story is for you, your story is personal. And at the Diana Awards, one of the criteria, as matter of, you can nominate yourself. Someone else nominated me when I won the award. And one thing they value, now I'm a Diana Award judge recently, and one thing I've discovered is they really want to know how what you're doing in the impact space, relates to how how you've been shaped, how you've been formed as a young person. And I'm saying this because even if you find yourself in the 9 to 5 space, be a lawyer, be this and that and whatnot. Take for instance, you're going to the Harvard, you're going to Harvard for your LLM, you're going to school outside of Nigeria for your JD program or whatever. If you get to a part, they would ask you to write a personal essay, if I'm correct. And a personal essay is simply for them to see through you beyond your grades, beyond the formal rhetorics, recommendation letters from your professors or whatnot. They want to know who they're dealing with, and they're looking for that special thing in you. All in all, ultimately, we all have a special story. We all have our personal stories. And no matter how, identical you look with someone, even if you have between or whatnot, no two persons have the same story. So I'm encouraging you today, do some kind of introspection, have it at the back of your mind. I'm not asking you to come into the impact space, but just keep that. It's going to help you. It's going to be such a leverage. And I think my colleagues here who are, active in the professional setting of law practice can as well attest to this, that in a way or the other, this will come in handy. You need that. And lastly, to answer the question she asked about how you can, discover some of these opportunities. So I think, first of all, I think going to a school like University of Lagos, diverse, meeting like minds, meeting all kind of people from different walks of life was, uh, I would say, a privilege. And earlier on, it was 2016 that there was someone I walked up to. He's now a lawyer. He's a lawyer in New York. We were in New York together last week, and I was just telling him, like, do you remember in 2016 you asked me to visit www.opportunitiesforafricans.com? And I was like, how do you mean? I was like, we were in Montreal, and he just told me to visit that site and blah blah blah. He just said it casually, and I just said that site. I can't say or think I found any tangible opportunities from that particular, just open my eyes to the fact that there are actually opportunities, and I start go out my way to look for them. And I found, you just keep trying, different things. And I don't know if this has been spoken about earlier, but there's going to be rejections. It's no more about life. It's not a matter of you're good or not. It's not that you're not fit or qualified enough for such opportunities or the jobs that you get rejected for. But you just have to keep trying. Just do what you have to do. Just show up. Just the more you try, if you never try, you never can tell if you are, if you're going to be successful or something. So look out for some of these opportunities, connect with like minds. There's more than enough resources right now everywhere on the web, on platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and whatnot. Apply, sell yourself like crazy. You're your biggest, loudspeaker. Nobody else can do this for you the way you would. And I know Chat GPT is here to, make the job easy for you now and whatnot. But at the end of the day, never forget who you are, never forget how your personal story should be your biggest source of motivation. Look out for some of these opportunities, apply to some of them, look out for people to guide you, to review your applications and whatnot. The more you try, the higher chances of winning. Get into some of these opportunities and be intentional about. Don't go just searching opportunities because there's a grant here, or there's a fund here, or there's a travel opportunity here, or they're sponsoring my trip here or whatnot. Do it because you actually believe in it. Because in the long run, when I started my NGO in 2020 in the heat of NSAS, you know, um I sought advice, and someone's tell me like, why is a lot of young people opening up or setting up NGOs right now? What's not? It's true, it was COVID. Many people were, out of school, and people were just thinking of what to do. People doing businesses, some creating content online, and some just thought to just start some NGO and whatnot. But I could see through him. I understood his perspective, challenging why I want to as well. Because many people just do these things because of the heat, burning passion of the moments, and they give up eventually. So what sets you up, what sets the flame going, even when when the cards are low, when everything is against you, is your passion, is the true sense of, your personal commitment to what you're doing. And doing that make hard work easy. And when hard work is easy, success is inevitable. It drives consistency, it opens up so doors, and the universe works in a kind of way that when you're committed to a cause over time, you know, you definitely are setting yourself up for something good. So don't delve into this kind of space because of this or that, whatnot, but do it because you're actually passionate about a cause, or because you actually think that you are, and I believe that you do have something to contribute outside of you. This platform, I believe, is set up by maybe someone or your alumni or whatnot. But I just believe that no matter what we do, no matter where we find ourselves, we can do more. And that is my final and closing charge. Encourage yourselves to do more, no matter where you find yourself, in the professional space, in the political space, in the business world, corporate setting, spiritual world, wherever it is. There is always more. You are created for more. You can do a whole lot more. And life is beyond all of this. There is enough connections out there. There's enough money out there, and you yourself are more than enough. Just apply yourself to it, and no pressures. If all you want to face right now are your grades and your academics, in no time, but just put it at the back of your mind that you can do more. And I challenge you to do more. All right, and I'm happy to connect with you guys, and really rooting for you guys. All the best. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Samuel, for that short yet impactful charge. Thank you so much. So I'm very sure that anybody that's like eyeing the Diana Awards now, you already heard it from a judge, what criteria they use to select winners. So if you're currently in that space right now, you know what you're supposed to do. And don't push for the big platforms yet. Do what you're doing and do it excellently well. So I'll move on quickly to Dolapo. So Dolapo, currently you are, a growth marketing director. I followed your story. I mean, it only makes sense to you did, because how I'm in a law firm and everybody's always asking like, why practicing law? And I really connected with what Mina also said, which looking at the RPC, how can lawyers actually and law firms market, because we actually need lawyers in the marketing space for law firms, because you are the only one that can like connect actively with that space to know what exactly it is that you can do and you cannot do. So I'd ask you now, for a law student who is already certain that this is what I want to do, and maybe they are even associating law firms already, and they're like, I have this passion, I have this skill, I recognize that I can actually blossom and flourish, and what I'm targeting is a leadership position in non-legal organizations. So how would you tell them to structure their career goals, and what opportunities would you tell them to like look for, in terms of networking, especially networking at a young age? Because when you tell young people to network, they're always thinking, oh, I have to network with the big guys. So how have you leveraged parallel networking to like get through to the top of your career right now and even handle a leadership position from almost the start of your career?
Fair, that's a very loaded question. I'm like, okay, where do I start from? I'm like, okay, first one, this one, second one, that one. So networking. I feel like I enjoyed this question a whole lot because like I used to always think that networking equals farming. No, they're not the same thing. You have to build soft skills. You have to know how to start a conversation, what kind of conversation to start without coming off as being forced. I think with me, I always had like a vibe. I could hold a conversation with people in uni. It was something that I had naturally, and then I built when I joined the Mutin Society, and then I equally built in like my day-to-day lifestyle as a law student. So I know how to hold a conversation. What I don't know how to do very well is maybe walk up to you in public and immediately jumpstart like a conversation. So if I find myself in a circle with you, I would know conversations that would necessarily pique your interest. So that's a very good thing to have as a networking person or somebody looking to network. When you find yourself in circles, don't just zero in on the big guys. Also zero in on people that are there, your peers. Have conversations with them. It would warm you up, and then you walk up courage to actually talk to like the person that you actually want to introduce yourself. I've gotten most of my mentors from having like the silliest, mindless conversations, because it's in these conversations they know how your mind works. They know what your brain holds as important and what your brain holds as not important. So try to have conversations with people. A good skill or a good thing to do when you're networking with people is don't go with the mindset of you want to take something from the person or you want to gain something, or what am I looking to gain from this person. Go with a mindset of I'm looking to introduce myself to this person and leave an impression. That helps a whole lot. If you come directly to me and you're like, oh, hi Dolapo, I want to have 10 minutes of your time. I want to sell this idea to you, or I want you to look at my startup and see if you can bring them on board. Chances are I would give it a fair overlook. I would look at it. I would say, okay, this is a nice idea, yada yada yada, and then it would close off. If I'm like, oh, I want to work with you, it will continue. If I'm like, oh, I don't want to work with you, it will close off. But if you walk up to me and you're like, oh, hi Dolapo, and you have like a really nice conversation with me. You say, hi Dolapo, I read your piece on Tech Cabal. I liked how you said, it doesn't have to tie into like what I do day to day, but just have a genuine conversation or a genuine human interest conversation. It can be about the city you're in, it can be about the day, it can be about your own lived experience. And that sort of leaves like an impression and makes people warmer to you. So those are like helpful tips in networking. In my very short yet very fast career, I've had like the good fortune of living in about 6 countries. And when you find yourself living in about 6 countries for 2 to 3 months or and above, you also have to build a network of people. You have to build friends. You have to find people that are going to be your advocates there, people that are going to be your community there. You have to find people. And I feel like I've been so blessed in the sense that, oh, I meet these people, I have conversations with them. I don't go with, oh, what do I stand to gain from these people? And I've built a network of equally fast rising individuals in like different countries that I have lived out or visited. And they are the people that I think I met one of my closest friends in Kenya at a birthday party, and she's literally the one person I would call if I needed to get something done for myself or for my company or on behalf of my company in Nairobi. I'll be like, oh, I need this. Can you introduce me to this person? And she's always willing. Same in Ghana, same in the UK. The people I meet and have general conversations with, because they know me as an individual and not just, oh, this is what Dolapo does as a day-to-day. They know the kind of person I am. They know the kind of conversations I have. They can trust me and also use their network to uplift me or pursue my goal. So that's it about networking on my own end. On marketing yourself and drawing parallels between marketing and law, that's a very interesting question, because honestly, if there's one thing I have done or I did at the early onset of my career is hide. Because there's this thing where you want to just, or I have been wired to just, I don't know, do the work. And then when people are speaking of the work, I'm like, okay, yes, I'm doing a good job. And then along the line, you sort of interswitch that as, oh, let the work speak for itself, but you're not also like building some sort of identity for yourself outside. You're not branding yourself. You're not creating some sort of portfolio for yourself, which is in the long run a disservice to yourself if we're keeping it honest. It's very easy to think of branding as also farming, but it's not. It's basically letting people know, okay, this is what we do, or this is who I am. This is, I'm the go-to person for this. I can categorically state that because I did the work, or a whole lot of like the first 2 years of myself moving from PiggyVest to Lemfi as a social media manager, moving from Lemfi as country manager to TransferGo as director, was me necessarily doing the work and saying that, okay, yeah, the work is going to speak for themselves. But at some point, I also had to make like the conscious efforts to equally build some sort of visibility and market myself. So for the guys in law, be very conscious about building a brand, but don't get too carried away with grandstanding. Ensure that when people see you building a brand for yourself as a lawyer out there, they're like, oh yeah, Abubakar is the person to meet to get this filing done. It's because they can find you on the internet, and it's because you've also done the work that can speak for yourself. In terms of law firm and the marketing, I think I'm taking all your questions one by one. In terms of like law firm and the marketing angle, honestly speaking, by the time I joined PiggyVest, I didn't really think I was going to do marketing. It wasn't one of the options for me. It wasn't even something I felt I was equipped for, because I don't think I had like done any marketing course. Even till date, I think I've only done one marketing course. But a whole lot of that's because I learned on the job, but still, don't be like me. Do marketing courses if you want to do marketing. A whole lot of marketing just sort of happened because I built a, what's the word? I built a portfolio for myself internally as the person to go to get something done. So when I joined PiggyVest, I joined as a customer support agent, and from there, my manager sort of noticed that I had a good eye for marketing. I could read marketing campaigns. I could work on stuff quickly. They could trust me because I was reliable. They knew that I could manage stakeholders very well. I could read the room. I could cover. I would always try to make my manager look good, even when instances where she was at fault. It's always like a very key skill that your job, always tell yourself, and I always tell myself every morning when I go to work, is my first job is to ensure my manager looks good. So when she saw that, okay, this person is a team player, she's like, she suggested like, oh, look into marketing. I really think marketing is where you can shine. And then I was like, okay, let me start softly. And then I started from social media marketing, and I did social media marketing. And because I took those same character traits I had from being an intern at this law firm to Amnesty to PiggyVest and being a full-time staff at PiggyVest, I took those characters and took it into like marketing, and I became a reliable team member. I would always try to meet deadlines. I would always try to ensure that work is done properly. I became the go-to person for when it was time to like promote people internally, up the marketing. That's also how you learn on the job. So marketing sort of happened for me. It wasn't like a set goal. But if you're on this call and marketing is where you want to go for, or you're looking to maybe work as a PR person or a marketing expert for law firms, I think it's something that you should ordinarily look at the people that are doing what you're doing and try to learn from them. Try to see what courses they've taken. Try to see how they interact with their world on LinkedIn, how they interact with their world on social media. Try to not stalk them, but try to create a mirror of what the profession demands from them. Like if you see them do Ask Me Anything on their social media, try to get into their head and say, oh, how do you do this? How do you approach this? Interestingly enough, when I was at Piggyverse, I got approached by tier one law firm to do business development and social media for them. But I didn't take that job because I knew that I didn't want to do anything law related at that stage in my career. I still don't want to do anything law related right now. But you also need the spirit of discernment. You need to discern for yourself and say, okay, this is what I want to be as a lawyer. This is how I'm going to brand myself professionally. I want to be in the next 3 to 4 years. I want to be the go-to person when people are thinking of getting SC license for fintech companies. I want to be the go-to person for when people are trying to get arbitration processes closed and finished. If you take that approach to career mapping, it will really help you a lot. It will help you decide, okay, this is how the direction I want to go. This is what I want to put my time into. This is how I want to invest myself. Also, don't I think the last thing I would say to Ifeoluwa's question on networking and career mapping and marketing is your competition is not on this call with you. Your competition is not on this call. Your competition is not in your university. Your competition is global. Your competition is outside there in another country, getting a good degree, using tools that your university will probably, because I went to a public university, using tools that your university will probably write like 6 million letters to get funding for. That's your competition. That's the person you're going against when you submit your CV to a law firm, when you submit your CV to a fintech startup. That's your competition. So expand the scope of where you're learning from. Look at your counterparts outside Nigeria. Look at what they bring to the table and tell yourself, okay, this is what me too I want to bring to the table when I'm going for my interview. Position yourself that way. Know that you're not playing locally, you're not playing in Nigeria, you're playing internationally. I think when you take that mindset, like Samuel said, when you take that mindset and you take it to everything you do, you know that like the opportunities are endless. So I think that's where I round off like my networking and career mapping answers to. Is Ifeoluwa still on the call?
Can you hear me now?
Sorry, ma. I don't know if I can ask
Okay,
a
thank you
question.
for that insightful, and you covered your karma and even your management, because you mentioned something important for making your manager look good and not throwing them under the bus. Thank you so much for that. So I'll ask Mina, a final question. And if you don't mind, Dolapo, if you have final words for our law students here, I will come back to you shortly and just take Mina's final question. So Mina, in your expertise, in your experience rather, as a tech lawyer and a PR professional, if you could go back in time to like rewrite your career journey, to rewrite your career story rather, based on your level of exposure, based on what you know now, what would you have done differently as a law student coming out of the university, going to law school, to sort of make your career journey, faster, or to speed things up, mistakes you could have avoided. Just let us know, please.
Okay. So first of all, let me say thank you to Dolapo. I think she touched on a lot of very key and very critical areas around networking, and I really enjoyed that session. So to my question, thank you, Ife. So what will I do differently? Like I would always see, and like I said, when you called me up the first time, we can always have things figured out. And maybe if I had done things differently, or if I had done anything differently, I probably, wouldn't be here having this conversation with you. And if I had the perfect journey, right, then there wouldn't be any story, right? But here's what I can say. I think we're too fast to pivot after law school. Well, it's a different experience for everybody, you know. But then I also think that you need to try your hands on practice before you make that decision. And I'm not talking about conventional law practice, I'm talking about internships. I'm talking about leveraging opportunities. I'm talking about reaching out to people, mentors who are in certain areas within the profession that are unconventional that you would want to probably get into, right? So that way you're exposed to a plethora of options that can help you make the choice of whether or not you want to practice. Well, I always say I'm one of the lucky ones who pivoted from law to comes after my call to bar, and the experience is different for everyone. But I would always advise people to explore different options before settling. So I'll tell this story that a number of people know, right? So after law school, I had the chance to have worked with Simmons Cooper. You know, most of us know Simmons Cooper. That's the former vice president to Sibanjo's law firm, because I did an internship in Simmons Cooper while I was in the university. And while, you know, during the internship, what do they call it? During the internship program, right? I sort of was very valuable to the firm, and so, you know, they wanted to actually keep me, right? So that was my first exposure to internship, and that was my first exposure to opportunities that shaped my career trajectory, right? So most times I just think that if I had tried my hands on practice for a little bit, right, it would have been good, you know. But I didn't give myself that chance to try. I just After law school, I just got into comms, got into PR. I was doing my thing. And like I said, it's a different experience for everybody. I probably just got lucky, right? And I would say, you can go. I always say this, right? You can go far alone, but you can go farther with people. Now, I'll digress a bit to mentorship, because this is another thing I think that I would have leveraged as much as I could during, you know, my undergraduate days, because I had access to a number of people, but I didn't know what value I was going to give, right? So it was until later in life that I got to realize that, right, mentorship is a necessity for everyone looking to grow, because there is someone who has done what you want to do. And for you to grow, you need to identify these people and find ways to connect with them and to add value. So a mentor is like a compass in the desert, right? The world is, you know, that desert, and for you to navigate that desert you need a compass. So maybe I would have gone further if I leveraged on, you know, the access I had to certain people, right? But like I said, at the time, I did not even know what value I wanted to what value I wanted to give to these people, right? So I just knew this one, knew that one. I did an internship with Simmons Cooper, so I knew many people working with the firm, you know, but I did not have anybody who could mentor me in the path that I wanted to go, or who could say, Mina, you know what, I think you can try practice for a couple of years, maybe 2, 3 years, you know, and while you're practicing, you can be doing your comms business or e-lawyer on the side. I just decided that, you know what, it's comms or nothing. So I think that it is important that after law school, you you explore your options, you test the waters, you do as much as you can do within the legal profession. And the interesting thing is that law ties to a lot of other areas. So law is very versatile. You can be a lawyer, you can be in practice, and be an artist, right? So as an artist, you have your background in law, and you probably have you have a fair knowledge on copyright infringement, you have a fair knowledge on IP, intellectual property law, you have a fair knowledge on trademarks and all of these things that would help you in your dealings with clients. So law is very important, right? Your background in law, whatever experience you have had within the profession is very important for your future trajectory, regardless of whatever area, whatever industry you want to specialize in. So I think to an extent, that's the only part of my life I think I should have or the only what's the question you asked? That's the only thing I would say, I should have done differently, right? Explore different areas within legal practice before settling for what I wanted to do, or explore those areas while still doing what I wanted to do on the side, right? So I think to answer your question, that's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mina. Thank you so much. Now I'll just quickly ask Samuel the final question. Samuel, I just want to ask you, so specifically for social impact, you got into this field and you've been able to do something tangible with the organizations that you founded and even get recognized for your impactful work. So I know I've asked before, but I just want to ask again. So what would you advise somebody who is interested in social impact, especially because of, the different aspects for students who are familiar with the SDG goals, for instance? So there are like different areas they can decide to focus their impact work on. But if you want to do it from a place of, service, what would you advise them to do? Like, how would you advise them to connect to mentors, sponsors in the social impact field?
Thanks, Victoria. Can I ask you to repeat that part of your question? What you mentioned the SDGs, or I think a specific part of the impact space.
Samuel, can you please come again? I didn't get your question.
Yes, I think I got your question. I just wanted clarification. What you were mentioning, being specific, you mentioned the particular SDG or SDGs, and then you said maybe some persons will know some specific parts of the impact space they want to go into. I don't get that part.
Yes, so I was saying, so for students who want to go into social, so that areas where you can, focus your impact work on. And usually students are exposed right now to the sustainable development goals. So what would you recommend? How would you how what is the process you recommend to like identifying where you want to base your impact work on because of your current exposure in the field right now? And how would you advise them to seek out sponsors and mentors in the social impact field?
Okay, I think I get that. It's simple, at the same time difficult. Things are easier now, and opportunities, like they say, are everywhere. And one thing I would have loved to, mention in my first time speaking, I think Dorako kind of leveraged on that is people. People
Are
are
you
kind
still
of
with us,
like your,
Samuel?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I mean, I think you can continue. I think Ife has like network issues, but we can hear you, Samuel.
All right, thanks. Oh my God. I'm equally in a place where I'm sorry, bro. I'll just keep this brief. Anyways, people, leverage on people, leverage on, people are your currency, so to say. Yeah, there's good friends, there are bad friends, there are good friends, there are good people, there are bad people, but at the same time, you can't do it all people. So when you understand this, you can, approach people differently. The Apple's session on networking, I believe, provides you more details with that and what's not. And you're most likely better off being recommended for something or being put a word, have a word being put on your behalf out there or to someone, for something than going through the formal route and whatnot. And I'm really not a LinkedIn guy. Sincerely, I go to LinkedIn to put up things that had happened in my life months back just for the sake of formality or because someone sometime might want to request to see my LinkedIn page. But I actually do not like LinkedIn, so to say. So I can't say to, let's say that go to LinkedIn for opportunities. But perhaps there are. Good luck if you find someone there. But this website I mentioned, opportunities.org, opportunities for www.opportunitiesforafricans.com, opportunitydesk.org. I think those two are still the leading for this, for Nigerians and Africans seeking international opportunities. And for the SDGs in particular, like you mentioned, so I'm an ambassador to the world's largest organizers of the um of training on sustainability leadership, which basically train young leaders across the world on sustainable development goals. And their name is UPG, United People Global, already started in Switzerland. And they're currently taking applications. I think it's closing by December. I encourage you to apply. When picked, they pick 500 people from thousands of applicants. Then you get trained for, I think, a month or two virtually, and they pick like 60 persons of the 500s, give them travel trips and, further intensify their training efforts. Anyways, ultimately, that training would open your mind in the impact space, and I really encourage you to go on for it. And the link or the name again is just search United People Global, and put your eyes out there, put your ears out there, ask people, talk to people. Uh, some of us on this call are expressed our interest, reach out. Be in touch with you guys or answer your questions and whatnot. And you can't get any better than that. You have to do the hard work of networking with people. And it's possible that those you're trying to reach are difficult to reach, and it's fine. There is someone I sent a mail to, I think, like 3 weeks now, 4 weeks, and there's been no response. And every day I pray, every day I wake up, one of my prayers is, God, please let this not reply me. And it's fine. The response would come, I believe, but I can just give up. I just have to keep showing up, keep reaching out to other people and whatnot and stuff. So like I said earlier, the more you try, the higher you increasing your chances and whatnot. And don't forget your story, linking it to whatever you want to find yourself doing. The SDGs, personally, I didn't really like the SDGs like that before now. And I just hate to confine myself to that or whatnot. But no matter what you do, you find in a way or the other that it's connected to an SDG. And we're close to the SDG, realization year 2030. And sadly, we're still here, far from reaching, past mark for the goals and whatnot. So those goals will go, new set of goals will come in. So you might not want to box yourself in that light. But at the end of the day, it's still you discovering yourself, you identifying what you want to do, and know you really want to do this, and going all out for it against all odds, doubling your chances, and eventually, I believe that things will work out. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Samuel. Thank you so much, Samuel. I'm very sure that the opportunities that you've mentioned, our students are going to connect to it. And I'll just ask, we've spent a lot of time on this panel, and yet that's been very impactful. So if our panelists have any last words, we just take them now. But if they are not, I'm very sure from everything that you've shared, I mean, we are set to have awesome careers based on the insights and the knowledge that you've shared with us on this panel. So Mina, Dolapo, Samuel, if you have any other thing to add to it right now, I'll take it. And if not, we can successfully, wrap up this panel because it has been an insightful time with all of you.
So I think on my end, I think the last thing I would briefly say, it was so nice to hang out with everybody. It's like a mini reunion for Samuel and I, because I don't think we have we've been on like anything together since we left uni. I think one thing I would say is don't count yourself out. Try to give everything a good fight. Put yourself for opportunities, put yourself out there. Rejection is part of the process. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be confusing at some point. Ask questions when it is. Ask people that you have around you. You're as good as your network. And this is me saying it. This is me not saying it lightly. I left University of Lagos with a tutu. I left law school with a tutu. It's not the ideal place to start running around with ideas and also trying to fight for global opportunities. But you have to put yourself out there. You have to mentally also work. I think the most important part is mentally work on not counting yourself out before you actually are counted out. And I think with that, honestly, sadly, like Samuel says, I'm the worst person to go look for on LinkedIn. I only go there to see who has been sending me spam emails via email. But from time to time, reach out with questions, try to build a network of people. And honestly, I wish everybody all the best, rooting for you all. So with that, bye.
Thank you so much, Dolapo. It was awesome connecting with you again on this platform, on this call rather. Samuel, Dolapo, we all attended the University of Lagos together, and Emoting Society was definitely the best platform to develop your skills, your advocacy skills, and everything. Mina, if you have final words for us, we really appreciate it. You can.
Yes, I just wanted to add that, a lot of times what holds us back from breaking forth is lack of confidence, right? I've seen that happen many, many times. When I wanted to start eLawyer, a lot of people were like, what are you even doing blogging law? And to be honest, I did not know what I was getting myself into. But 5 years down the line, and we're consulting for the MBA, we're consulting for top tier firms and organizations. And I would want to say that get expertise, get knowledge. It's not just enough for you to want to do something. You need to have the capacity to do it, right? You don't want to be a half-baked professional. So you need to know your onions and be confident in yourself. Put out the work you do. Some of us are not good with social media, but one thing I've learned is that when you put out the work you do, right, it's easier for people to when you're connecting with someone or when you're networking with someone and you tell them, oh, I'm the CEO, I'm the founder of so and so, their first point of contact or their first touch point with you is your social media. Their first touch point with you is, what are the things that this person has done? We want to know, right? So put out the work you do on your media platform, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram. You don't have to do all of them at the same time. I'm not a LinkedIn person, but I'm an Instagram person. Like, my whole work is on Instagram. So find a platform that works best for you and put out your work. And it's also important to note that life is a linear process. So allow yourself to pass through every stage without comparing yourself to others. You're not in a competition with anybody but yourself. So allow yourself go through seasons and go through phases, as that's a process to growth. That's a process to your success, right? And like Olalekan said, sorry, forgive me for murdering your name, right? Opportunities are everywhere. You just need to search for them. We have a world full of information. We have our phones, we have social media, but the problem is we don't know how to use it. We don't know how to maximize it. So please, it's important that we leverage the information we have, we leverage our networks, and we do the best we can, to be the best. So thank you so much for having me. That's about it from me.
Thank you so much, Mina. Thank you, Dolapo. Thank you, Samuel. It's been an amazing time on this session with you all. And thank you for, impacting law students who would like to pursue alternative career paths aside from law. I've thoroughly enjoyed this session. I've learned a lot from you all. And now we'll be moving to announce something special that we've been able to put together as a result of this career fest. So we know how difficult it is for law students, to track your career growth and career progress. And we are launching something very important called the Career Journal, the Exceptional Law Students Career Journal. And for everybody, the almost 400 people who registered for this career fest, the journal will be sent to your emails, and we advise that you use it to track your career progress, your career growth. Our speakers have mentioned they've touched on networking, they've shared important updates as regards where you can look for opportunities and where you can, rightfully impact or build on your career. Honorable has spoken at yesterday's panel, today's panel. So the career guides definitely would help you track what you've learned from today's session, track who you would like to connect with, track all the things that you want to, your goals, your vision board and everything. So watch out in your emails and you get the career guide. Thank you so much once again to our panelists. I'm very sure that this career fest is everything that you hoped it would be. And now I'll be handing over to the chairman of the TELSQ to share its final words. It has been an amazing session, and thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. As the first thing, thank you all for staying this long. We hope that day one and day two have been as impactful for you guys as we envisage that it would be. Thank you for your time. To the panelists, thank you very much. Samuel, my brother and friend, Dolapo, it was very nice to see you again. Mina, nice to meet you. And I know the Honorable has left, but I personally enjoyed this session. So I hope that for those of you that would like to join the TELSQ family, please reach out to, I believe they, Fair or Tai would have stated how you could join, but if they haven't, please feel free to reach out to any one of us on LinkedIn or anywhere, or look into the chat box for the details on how to join TELSQ. We hope to be able to continue to support law students in your journey, and we look forward to organizing more of these types of events for you guys. Thank you all. Go to the chat box for the information, like I said, and we'll see you at the next TELSQ event. Thank you. And thanks to the organizing committee, and to Fair Weather, the organizing committee. Thank you. And to Taye that moderated, and to Ikana. Bye, everyone.